that everything we need, everything we're looking for, is within us, is already there. That source of joy and peace and divinity is already there. There's a wonderful story of a temple in Thailand where they've been worshiping for hundreds of years this clay Buddha. And one day the monks are cleaning this clay Buddha and they see something shining and glimmering within it. And so slowly they start cleaning it a little more to see what is it that's shining and glistening from within. And slowly they realize that within this clay Buddha was actually a golden Buddha. But that centuries ago, when the invaders had come, the monks in the temple where they worshipped the golden Buddha had been afraid that the invaders would take the gold, melt it down, loot it, destroy it. So they had covered it with clay. The Buddha was saved, but the monks were killed. So nobody who knew that it was a golden Buddha still survived. And so for hundreds of years they've been worshipping this clay Buddha. And the same is true in our lives. We're looking to figure out ways to make ourselves golden, to renew ourselves, to find reasons to rejoice. And yet that gold is within us. The only problem is that we've dumped this clay on top of us. Our egos, our attachments, our grudges, our pain, our identification with the past. That's what's holding us back. So renewal is not about somehow becoming golden. It's not about turning dirt to gold. It's about removing the clay. And all that takes is the awareness and the willingness to shed those chains of the past. We hold on to them. Tragically, it doesn't make any sense because it's what's holding us back. It's painful. And yet we hold on to them because we identify with it. It's safe. It may be painful. It may be imprisoning. But it's safe. It's me. I know it. There are huge studies about rates of recidivism in people who get out of jail. You have these people who were in jail for 20, 25 years, and they finally get out. And then they go out and they commit some tiny little petty, stupid crime that winds them up back in jail. And when they're asked, why did you do it? What you find is that the majority of them say, it was too scary on the outside. They'd rather be in jail because it's safe than know what to do with their freedom. So we don't want to live our lives like imprisoned criminals. Yes, it's safer in jail. But we don't want to live in jail. So we have to have that courage. That courage to step into the newness. To step into that freedom. Lastly, I don't know how many of you have ever driven on one of these roads. I don't know about in Illinois, but in California there's lots and lots of a bird called the quail. And as you're driving down the road, particularly in the country, you'll come upon these packs of quails walking in the road. And what's funny about the quail is that she's a bird. She can fly, she has wings. And yet they spend most of their lives waddling on the ground. And if you're driving in a car behind them, they're like the cows in India. The difference is that the cows don't have wings. They have to walk. The quails have wings, they're birds. And yet they waddle on the ground, and you're in this car coming upon them. You honk the horn, and they waddle faster and faster and faster. And just before the front bumper of the car actually hits one of the quails, suddenly one of them, as though hit by this divine inspiration, will flap its wings and fly. And as that one flaps and flies into the sky, suddenly the rest of them seem to look at each other and think, oh, well, if she can do it, we can do it. And at the last possible minute, literally before the car runs them over, they flap their wings and fly into the sky. And you think, at least the non-spiritual side of us thinks, you stupid birds. You've got wings. Why are you waddling on the ground waiting until you're run over to realize that you can fly? And that's how most of us live our lives. We've been given the ability to soar, to fly, to reach amazing and incredible heights. And yet the vast majority of us seem willing to just spend our lives waddling around. Until and unless, of course, our lives depend upon it. And if we can take a vow before we leave this beautiful center in nature, the vow should be not to wait until our lives depend upon it, because today depends upon it. Tomorrow depends upon it. And every day of our lives depends upon it. We have to be willing to realize that we have that freedom. And that it's not just our ability, not just our right, but our duty to embrace that and to be able to soar and to fly and to reach those potentials that we're supposed to. Before I request Puja Swamiji to enlighten us with his beautiful words, I want to share a beautiful story that Bob told me. I don't know whether he's already shared it with you. Did you
Only
share
a few.
it with me?
Only a few.
I love it, so I'm going to share it with everybody. Puja Swamiji lives his life. If you ever ask him, how are you? And this is actually a suitable introduction as well. If you ever ask him, how are you? If you speak Hindi or any of the Indian languages, his answer will be must. Must means in ecstasy, in bliss. If you don't speak any of the Indian languages, he'll tell you super. And it's true. It's not just a platitude. I've had the incredible honor to see him at moments in which he should be super, like in beautiful environments and beautiful, restful, and relaxing times, as well as moments in which it is impossible to believe that anyone can be super. After having traveled dozens of hours internationally, being held up, being delayed, being hassled, and he truly is, in every moment of the day, must, super. Because that sense of self is not based on the world around him. It's based internally. And so, when Bob and Judith's group came to Rishikesh, someone must have asked him, how are you? And he must have said, super. And they had a conversation about that. And then when one of their students was sharing that with her children, she had 2 children, was telling the elder one about meeting with Puja Swamiji and that they were going to come today to hear him speak, and that he was the one who was always super. The younger child immediately piped up and said, I want to come too. I want to meet Superman. I love the story. It sums up so beautifully and so perfectly what he really represents to us. Not just the embodiment of the superhumanness that one can attain, but the fact that, like Superman, that superhumanness is used not for himself, but always in the service of others. Clark Kent only turned into Superman when someone needed him to. And in the same way, Pujya Swamiji's life, every minute and every moment and whatever he does, is used in the service of the world. So it's a wonderful, wonderful honor to request him to share with us words of inspiration and wisdom. There will be time, by the way, afterwards for questions and answers.